welcome to Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman, and I'm so excited you're with us today. We're here to empower you, your friends, your family, and your loved ones to be healthy and well naturally. And the one thing that I love about health is that you were made to be well. You were made to function at a high level of health and vitality so that you could be the best you ever. And in today's world, we come upon more stresses than the body's ability to adapt. And they're broken down into three types: physical, chemical, and emotional. And these stresses create a nerve system interference, which create a muscle imbalance and slow down and stop that signal out to every single organ, tissue, and cell, up to the brain, to the body, and back again. And you may say to yourself, what does this have to do with my health? Well, the reality is you live your life through your central nervous system. It literally was the first organ created when you were conceived. So how important do you think it is to your health? It literally is what you're living your life through. It controls every single organ, tissue, and cell in the body. It sends those signals to the brain, to the body, and back again. Imagine if you lived your life with full expression of health and vitality, yet without even realizing it, that central nervous system was slowing down over time, and even worse, stopping sending those signals out to the organs, up to the brain, and back. What do you think would happen to your health? What do you think would happen to your children's health? And do you think it's something that happens over a long period of time of your health? Or do you think it's something that happens at the moment of birth, when they use between 40 to 60 pounds of uncontrolled pressure on your child's head and neck in a medical setting, which they call a normal birth? Or could it be at the beginning of a C-section, where there's 90 pounds of uncontrolled pressure put on your child's head and neck? And think about this. If we believe, and many people do, that there's a pill, powder, lotion, drug, shot, or surgery, or a food or something to drink that will change the way your health is, what if that's not really the answer? What if the answer comes in the form of turning and restoring that connection through the power of a chiropractic adjustment? What if that's what's needed in not only your health, your family's health, your children's health, and your newborn's health? Today we're going to be talking to one of the most amazing wellness chiropractors in the world. His name is Dr. Matthew Mix. And we're not only going to start to dive into what health really is, and why it's so important for children to be adjusted and checked by their local wellness chiropractor, but also what happened to him, his absolutely amazing story of how his life was saved through the power of that chiropractic adjustment, and how it almost ended due to some absolutely terrible circumstances by somebody that wasn't responsible for their own health and decisions. And we call that person a drunk driver. And I can't wait for you to not only tune in and learn how you can flat out save your health in your life, but also hear Dr. Matthew Mix's amazing story. And we're going to take a quick commercial break. I can't wait for you to meet Dr. Matthew and hear his amazing story of life, health, and vitality.
Christman Family Chiropractic, a creating wellness center located at 2310 Churchville Road, Suite C in Bel Air, is enhancing lives through the power of a chiropractic adjustment. As a licensed chiropractor in Maryland and Pennsylvania, Dr. Evan Christman can correct damage from years of lifestyle stresses while educating you to maintain good health for your lifetime. A dedicated professional with a very special focus on children with learning differences and autism, Dr. Christman treats people of all ages: newborn babies, children, pregnant women, families, seniors, and professional golfers. Isn't it time for you to reclaim your life? Take your first step toward health and vitality today. Call Christman Family Chiropractic, a creating wellness center, at 410-734-4060, and let their experienced staff show you how to restore the flow of life. 410-734-4060, or check them out at restorelifeflow.com.
Good morning and welcome back to Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman, and I'm so excited you're with us today. We're here to empower you, your friends, your family, and your loved ones to be healthy and well naturally. And the one thing that I love about health is that you were made to be well. You were made to function at a high level of health and vitality so that you could be the best you ever. And today, we're talking to one of the most amazing wellness chiropractors in the world. His name is Dr. Matthew Mix. Dr. Matthew, welcome to Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, you are welcome. So, Dr. Matthew, tell me, how did you head up down that path of not only being a chiropractor, but how has your life changed?
You know, it's changed quite a bit. You look back at your life, and especially this time of the year, and you think about how you got here, and you start realizing that maybe some of the things you thought were bad and were detrimental to your life actually pushed you in the right direction.
Isn't that the truth? And so tell me, because I know a little bit about this, but it sounds like something not so great happened to your life. But as you say, it can turn into some of the most amazing miracles and blessings. They can empower thousands of people to change their health as well. What happened to you, Dr. Matthew?
Well, I had a pretty normal childhood. I had little sicknesses here and there, but the average individual doesn't think much of it. And growing up, I was considered to be healthy. And when I turned 15, which was the legal age to drive in Louisiana, it was kind of late at night. My dad said, "Hey, you want to take the truck out and go grab some things for us and go grab a couple of things at the store?" I said, "Sure, of course." So I jumped in my dad's Suburban and headed down the road, and within about 5 minutes of leaving the house, a drunk driver pulled directly out in front of me, and we had a huge collision that absolutely totaled the Suburban on that night.
Oh, my God. And so what happened next? I mean, that's absolutely terrible.
It was. I kind of blacked out. I remember coming to, opening up the door, the driver's side door. I was by myself. I had my seatbelt on, and so I kind of got out my seatbelt. I was stumbling, kind of still in a little bit of a daze, and the drunk driver took off.
Oh, are you kidding
almost
me?
Hit me. And so I kind of had to jump to the side and try to collect my thoughts and figure out what happened. And that's when I realized things are going to be a little different. I found the nearest house and called my dad, and he came out and picked me up. And the next day, boy, I really felt it for sure. But I guess that was how I got into chiropractic right then and there.
And, many people would almost stop it at that. They'd go to the hospital, they'd get themselves checked out. But many people are missing that, it's the physical, the chemical, and emotional stresses that create that interference in your life. And the other thing that people miss, too, is it can be an event. It can also be a process over time. But in that moment, the emotional stress that went on, the physical stress of that force, right? And they say that it takes the weight of a dime to create interference. Is it into your paraspinal nerves, which attach to your organs? And so imagine that force that occurred when you were hit by that drunk driver. And then you're blacking out and you're almost hit again. So talk to me, what was that next step for you? What made you say later on in life, I want to be a chiropractor? Did you go to a chiropractor yourself after this accident?
I did. The very next day, my parents had a chiropractor from other issues that they had. My sister had been going as well. So I was the only one in the family that had not been yet. So I remember my dad's exact statement. He said, "Well, golly, I guess we'll get you on the plan too." I think he had this thought process that once you start, you can't stop. Like I hear many of my patients say to me, they almost like they think it's a drug or something. And so he never really wanted to start me because he didn't think I had any issues that required a clear nervous system. He didn't quite get it.
And let's stop for a second, because many listeners, they may believe that. Talk to me about that. Why is that not true? But why also do people go, and like me, I get adjusted, I'm consistent about it, I'm going to go for the rest of my life. Why is that?
I think they just tie in chiropractic to a specific issue, and not the issue of whether the nervous system is clear or not. They tie it into, does he have back pain? Does he have headaches? Even maybe does he have, like my sister was going for a specific problem. So is my mom. So is my dad at the time. They didn't see any of my problems because I didn't have what anyone would consider serious problems at the time to be a chiropractic case. And so they're looking for that thing that says, okay, you have this, then you need chiropractic.
And I always tell people, if you brush your teeth, why do you do that? Is it because you want a beautiful smile? Is it because you want to smell beautiful, right? That fresh breath. Do you want to make sure that you don't have decay? Well, chiropractic adjustments are even more vital than brushing your teeth. Do you really want that main system you're living your life through to slow down and stop and rot within your body? Or do you want that nervous system to function at a high level? And I oftentimes say to myself, why do you leave those children behind? And I get that oftentimes people think it's because of a symptom or a body breakdown, and they get that connection. But chiropractic's about health. Chiropractic is about full expression of life, and nobody should be left behind. They have that expression, what is it, no child left behind? That's what it should be in that chiropractor's office too. So tell me, you go to the chiropractor's office, Dr. Matthew, after you were hit by that drunk driver. What happens next?
He x-rays me, and we see at that point that my spine, was affected in the middle of my neck, and he decides, okay, let's start a form of treatment to remove these subluxations, this interference to your nervous system. And I was happy to be there as a 15-year-old. My whole family had been getting adjusted. I had already wanted to be adjusted prior to that. I remember expressing that to my dad because I was really big into working out and had some carpal tunnel-like issues in my hands, and I thought maybe that could help. And that's when I started noticing some changes, not just from the soreness or the headaches I was getting from that accident, but I started noticing other health issues start to fade away as well. And at that point I realized, wow, this chiropractic is more than what my family thinks it is. It's more than what I thought it was. It's something deeper, and I wanted to be a part of that.
Isn't that the truth? So we fast forward it. Where did you go to chiropractic college?
I went to Parker in Dallas, Texas.
Isn't that great? What were those lessons? I'm learning over time that the chiropractic colleges, my hope is that they want chiropractors to succeed. There's such a mixed message being sent. Some chiropractors are being taught one way. Some schools are saying, let's not talk about subluxation. Others are standing on the hill and saying, this is what chiropractic is. Let me make sure these students know everything they can to be the best they can. And our profession is, I say it's sort of in this moment of life where either chiropractors really get and they understand how to communicate that message, or they're wanting to head down the path of drugs or surgery. Where are you on this path as far as being a chiropractor? What's your hope to empower the world to be well naturally?
I believe that chiropractors have so many tools under their belt to help people be healthy without having to resort to drugs and surgery. And there's a profession that already does that. And that's where chiropractic thrives, is that we don't have to offer that and can still help thousands and thousands of people in our own communities experience a healthier life. That's what Parker taught me at the time. That was when actually Jim Parker had just passed away. It was right when I got there. And so I was put through his love videos that he sends out about, giving loving service to your patients and how by doing that, you'll help people beyond measure. And so I've kind of taken those Parker principles and instilled them in my life, and really felt like we're starting to make a difference in our community.
Isn't that great? Well, I've got to tell you, what I love about this is that you're here to serve. And, how many doctor's offices do you go into where you don't really feel that love, where you really feel like you're another number? And the one thing that I love about chiropractors' offices, and I hope it rings true in my practice too, is that we're grateful and thankful for every person that walks in. And then also, I'm so fortunate to be able to see the amazing changes that occur in people's health and in people's lives. We're going to start to dive into what's one of those practice members that you see, Dr. Matthew, that you've stepped back over time and you've said, man, I can't believe those changes occurred in that person. For us, it was a young girl that got off of her oxygen tank and face mask when she was 3 years old and was told she'd never get off of that tank. And I watched, after a month and a half of Dr. Christman adjust her, I watched her get off the oxygen tank and the face mask. I watched this little girl grow. And I know for many chiropractors, there are these stories that almost you know, as we say, they're kept in the file cabinets, or they're in the back of our minds that motivate us to move forward. We're going to start to delve into that, and I can't wait for you to not only begin to hear these stories, because they're absolutely amazing. We're going to take a quick commercial break.
Christman Family Chiropractic, a creating wellness center located at 2310 Churchville Road, Suite C in Bel Air, is enhancing lives through the power of a chiropractic adjustment. As a licensed chiropractor in Maryland and Pennsylvania, Dr. Evan Christman can correct damage from years of lifestyle stresses while educating you to maintain good health for your lifetime. A dedicated professional with a very special focus on children with learning differences and autism, Dr. Christman treats people of all ages: newborn babies, children, pregnant women, families, seniors, and professional golfers. Isn't it time for you to reclaim your life? Take your first step toward health and vitality today. Call Christman Family Chiropractic, a creating wellness center, at 410-734-4060, and let their experienced staff show you how to restore the flow of life. 410-734-4060, or check them out at restorelifeflow.com.
Good morning and welcome back to Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman, and I'm so excited you're with us today. We're here to empower you, your friends, your family, and your loved ones to be healthy and well naturally. And today we're here with Dr. Matthew Mix. Dr. Matthew, welcome back to Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm just so happy to be here.
You are welcome. So, Dr. Matthew, who is that person for you? Who motivates you to continue to move forward and to pass that message of chiropractic on, but also empower people to be well naturally like you were?
Michelle, there's so many stories that we have in our offices, and you know, the number one thing I think that comes to my mind when you mention that was baby Ryan. About 7 years ago, I had this child come to our office that couldn't walk, 2 years old, and actually walked like she was drunk and just stumbled, and the parents didn't know what to do. She had actually been adopted, and the mom had said that the adopted mom had said that, you know, her mother was, you know, doing drugs during pregnancy. So the medical establishment had said that they thought that was the reason that this child couldn't walk. Otherwise, a very happy, just full of life child, but just could not walk to save her life, and she would stand and fall down, 2 years old. And you know, the mom brought her to me from a referral of another family that was under care, and she said, "Can you do anything?" Now, at that age, we don't take x-rays. We do check the nervous system with a computerized scan, so we did it, and we found that up at the very top of her neck, she had interference to that communication that you mentioned between the brain and the body, and we adjusted her. After about a month of care, her mom came in crying, and I thought, oh, okay, is this a good cry? Right. Is this a happy cry? Or is something wrong? And she said, watch this, and she put Ryan down, and Ryan walked straight down the hall directly to me about 20 feet, and she said, she's never done that before in her life. This is just absolutely amazing.
Oh, wow. And, you know, can you imagine how many Ryans are out there?
Yeah, and you know, and I think back, how did Ryan become a patient of mine? And it was because a family who was under care for no particular condition or ill health at all, just because they wanted to be healthy, told this, you know, friend of theirs, you know, bring her to Dr. Mix, bring her to chiropractor and see if there's something they can do. And they didn't know what that could be. They just said, hey, you know, is the baby fully functioning in their nervous system as healthy as she can be? And they knew that we could find that out. And interesting enough, about 2-3 years ago, I've moved offices since then. We're about an hour from there, so I haven't seen Ryan in for a very long time. And we have a family that's under care now, and Ryan sent that family to us.
Oh, wow. Isn't that
so
great?
Ryan is now 7 years old, referring people to chiropractors. How great is that?
Oh, my God. That is absolutely amazing. And see, that's the way it should be. You know, everybody that I run into, they have nerve systems. They have nerve systems. It's that first organ created when you're conceived. That is what you're living your life through. Everybody should be going to a chiropractor's office to simply be getting checked. And, you know, my husband and I, we went and got adjusted yesterday. We felt so much better afterwards. I mean, your mind feels more at peace. Your body feels better. Everything functions more efficiently. Why wouldn't you want to get adjusted? Talk to me. In today's day and age, where so many people believe that there's a pill, powder, drug shot, lotion, vaccine for everything, how is it that our families stay well doing things naturally? What's the, many people would say, oh, well, you're lucky. Well, I don't think there's such thing as luck. I think it's making good choices and decisions to build our health. What do you think about that?
I think it's honoring that God-given ability to be naturally healthy. The decisions that chiropractors make that function like you and I and like our families do, we make them based on that premise that if we're not healthy, if there's some symptom or sign that things aren't right, then something's in the way. Because we were naturally made to be healthy. I don't believe we were put on this planet to suffer. And I don't know, maybe others believe that that's possible. But I believe that we were put here to thrive. And that if we are not thriving, then something's in the way. And it could be that we are interfering with ourselves by our poor thoughts, poor toxins we're putting in our body, or poor physical stress on the body. Or it's possible that there's been something there for a long time, just slowly deteriorating how healthy our body can be. And so that's the thought process. That's the way that we kind of go into every patient, is not what is wrong with you, but what is right with you and what is maybe interfering with that perfect health that you should be experiencing.
Isn't that the truth? One of the things I've noticed with having a little baby, my baby's 1 year and 4 months old now, I go out of the way. I drive up into Lancaster, Pennsylvania, to buy organic, chemical-free vegetables, meats, and fruits. During the summer and spring months, I shop locally. I go to Broom's Bloom. I go to Cindy Umberger, Harmon's Market, Andy's Poultry. There's so many wonderful places, Brad's Produce, that we can shop within our county, whereas I know you do too. But I put a lot of effort into that. What about you? I mean, what's your thought on that? Because the one thing I'm seeing with my little girl is a lot of these little young ones are eating foods that look like dog pellets almost. Like they're colored, my husband and I sit there and we look at their food on this plate and we're going, what are you doing here? And the parents say to us, oh, does your daughter want some of the food? And we're thinking, what food? There's no food on that plate. And no, talk to me about that.
Yeah, we just got back from vacation for all the holidays, and it's interesting because you're on the, we drove in yesterday, about 500 miles, and so you're on the road and you're thinking, boy, what is there going to be to actually eat? Is there going to be any food for us to eat? And so we stop at this place that I've never heard of before, and we stop at this little restaurant. And, I'm looking at the menu, I'm thinking, okay, they have some okay choices here. And it's interesting is the guy sees that I have a 3-year-old boy named Mason, and he says, oh, we have a kids menu. So the kids menu is what? Corn dog.
Right.
Fried
chickens probably.
Fried chicken, which is the healthiest
French
choice
fries.
probably on the thing there. Grilled cheese. And, I look at him, I say, oh, no, he doesn't. Yeah. He doesn't eat that stuff. I mean, he expects to see bright colors on his plate. And so it's interesting, though, because then you visit family, and, he's eating vegetables, and they think, golly, how does he eat these vegetables? Well, I mean, he picks them. We give him the choice. Do you want vegetables, or do you not want to eat? That's
right,
the choice we give him. To me, I don't see it any other way. And is he upset by it? Does he look deprived? No. I mean, when he's healthy and running about, and the other kids around him are sick and sad and having sugar withdrawals, he's just going about his thing. So I don't feel like he's deprived in any way, and he enjoys it because that's the options we give him.
Isn't that the truth? And it's yesterday we actually drove about 2.5-3 hours away from our home. We just had a huge snowstorm here. and I packed my baby's food. We sat down at this place, this restaurant, and met up with another chiropractor. We bought this x-ray view box, and, I said, she went to hand me the kids menu, and I said, no thanks, but can I have a plate? She brings me a plate. I pulled out an orange, a real orange. I pulled out an avocado. I pulled out apple, pear, and I sat there. I chopped all that stuff up. The baby was so excited. She sat, she ate it. She had pure filtered water. You couldn't ask for more. And I've got to tell you, that's what we should be feeding our children. And it's not because those are the choices I make, but I see a child that's healthy, where I'm sure you do too. And this time of year, you see so many children that are sick. And you've got to start to ask yourself, what's the difference? Our children also get adjusted. Why is that? Why would you get your newborn adjusted, Dr. Matthew?
I have no idea.
I know.
I checked my son at one hour, and he did need to be adjusted. And people say, well, was it a terrible birth? We went to a midwife. It was absolutely natural. Michelle took no drugs at all, nothing, no forceps, no vacuum extraction. It was a completely natural birth, and yet he still had a subluxation. He still had interference to his nervous system, just one area, but it was there, and it was something that I didn't want there. And so he got adjusted at birth. I still check him regularly. He's 3 now. He gets checked every week. I don't always need to adjust him. Sometimes he's clear. There's no interference to his nervous system, but I'd rather know. And he'll come to me and ask. He just asked me last week, check me. So why wouldn't you check? And that's the conversation we have here in our office is, the name of the office is Adjust, but really I check more than I adjust because I don't always need to adjust. But why wouldn't we just want to know?
Isn't that the truth? And that's why our children are healthy. And Dr. Christman, he checks every single time. He doesn't adjust you if you don't need to be adjusted. And that's what's the beauty about this, is that when you have people that have studied the art of chiropractic over time, you have experts that can help you be healthy and well naturally. And that's what I love about chiropractic. Dr. Matthew, what's your final takeaway on this? If there's somebody listening that's on that edge of wanting to be adjusted, simply being checked, what would you say to them?
I think maybe as an outsider into this health paradigm that we're describing in healthy families and healthy kids, it may seem sometimes, and I have this tendency to make things seem simpler than they really are. But the truth is, it really is that simple. If there's pressure on the nervous system, then you cannot be as healthy as you possibly should be. And that's what it comes down to. It doesn't mean that chiropractic is the answer to everything, but it does mean that you cannot be healthy if you have interference to your family's nervous system. It's absolutely impossible. There's studies and research that's been shown on this time and time again. And that's the number one takeaway, I think, is why wouldn't you check? Why wouldn't you want to see, is there pressure on the nervous system? And then what happens if we remove it?
Isn't that the truth?
And if we're able to check our children, we're able to give them this great opportunity later in life. And I am so happy my parents got me checked at 15. However, I would have loved to have been checked at 15 minutes, right? I would have loved to have lived the first 15 years without interference, although I'm happy that most of my life I have had no subluxations because I'm over 30. So, but what can we give our children? And I think about what your child and my child and the life that they're going to have, knowing that they've lived their life without interference for 99% of it. And that makes me extremely happy and confident that we can create these healthy individuals later in life.
Isn't that the truth? Dr. Matthew, thank you so much for your time. How can people reach you?
They can easily reach me through my website, Adjust, ADJUST, the number 4, Life, LIFE.com. They can use the contact form on that website. And my office is in Bastrop, Texas. It's 512-321-9200.
Dr. Matthew Mix, thank you so much for being on Wake Up to Wellness with Michelle Christman. And you're listening to me live every Saturday from 8:30 till 9 in the morning. And I can't wait for you to not only tune in to watch us on WAMD 970 AM, WYRE 810, WKHZ 1460, and watch me on KHZTV.com. That's KHZTV.com. Again, thanks for listening. Take great care of your health.